Hi guys, it is April from Getting Hygge with It. Today I wanted to talk to you about Booktubeathon, which is happening from July 30th until August 5th. And this year I am taking part again. Last year was the first time I'd ever done Booktubeathon and I really enjoyed it. I don't think I did end up reading 7 books in 7 days, which is like a standard challenge that they always ask of you. Next to impossible to do that unless you've like taken that entire week off. So that probably won't happen, but I do have some exciting books that I want to read. Some of these have been on my TBR for a very long time and others are brand new that I'm excited about. So let's get into it. Challenge is to let a coin toss decide your first read. Now, I have 2 books here, obviously, that I have been wanting to read for a long time, and yeah, okay, the first one is Eleanor, Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. This is a book about a young woman who is having a difficult life. She goes to work 9 to 5, but on the weekends she like binge drinks and she's not a happy person really until she stumbles upon an older man who has fallen and has injured himself, and she and a guy that she works with that she doesn't really know very well decide to step in and try to help this guy out, and I think there's a friendship between these 3 people. Everyone has raved about this and I've been wanting to read it for so long. So it's between Eleanor, Oliphant is Completely Fine and Tin Man by Sarah Winman. Now this is the tiniest little book. It's 206 pages and perfect for Booktubeathon, right? And apparently this is a very emotive read. It was so sweet because Julie from A Girl in a Book sent me a little message on Voxer right after she had finished it, and she was still in the process of kind of absorbing what she'd just read, and she said that she just finished the book but she already wanted to reread it like that moment. Now that's a good book. So this is about 2 boys who have this very close friendship and that turns into something more, and then their lives veer off into different directions. And I don't know if they come back together at some point or not, but I've heard wonderful things about that. So Eleanor or Tin Man? Let's find out. So Eleanor, I'm going to use heads for Eleanor because it's a person. Tin Man, I'm going to use tails. Oh God, it landed. It landed on heads, so I'm going to be reading Eleanor, Oliphant is Completely Fine. So that will be my first book, and I'm sure plenty of you are going to be really glad that I'm finally reading that because I feel like everyone has read that except me. I'm the only person who hasn't read it. Okay, number 2. Read a book about something you want to do. Now, I had a really hard time kind of coming up with this, and I don't know why. I'm sure that there's plenty of things on these bookshelves that I wanted to do, and this is kind of basic thing, but I really want to go to England. I have not been to Europe. I've been to Canada, obviously the States. I've been to Dominican Republic on my honeymoon, but I haven't been anywhere else, and for someone who's 37, I feel like that's just wrong. So I'd really like to go to England. And you know who else decided that they wanted to go to England? Rachel in My Cousin Rachel. This book, I just get so excited just even thinking about this book. It's by Daphne du Maurier, and this is about a man who is essentially an orphan, and his older cousin takes him in. And now this older cousin decides much later on in life to go to Florence on this trip, and he meets a woman there named Rachel, and then he promptly dies, and Rachel comes back home to live with that orphaned cousin named Philip Ashley. And he starts wondering if Rachel had anything to do with the death of his beloved cousin, and I'm gonna find out, and I'm so excited to. So yes, I would like to go to England, and apparently she did too, so yes. Okay, number 3, read and watch a book to movie adaptation. My cousin Rachel, again. I have been dying to watch this movie. I've even got the movie edition cover. This is, I think, the only movie cover of a book that I like, that I've seen, that I've really liked. I genuinely love this cover. I also genuinely love this actress, who's Rachel Weisz. And yeah, so I cannot wait to dive into this and then read and watch the actual movie. So that's going down. Number 4, read a book with green on the cover. Okay, so I chose 3 books for this because I couldn't decide. And I just realized one of the covers that I thought in my head for all the time that I was prepping for this is not green. It's black and white. So this will not be read, but I want to read it soon. Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil is now out. I thought there was a tint of green in it, but it's not. One thing, I'm so glad that I actually picked this up though, because I opened it, it was signed. Guys, this was signed by the author. That's cool. Anyway, so that's out. I'm terribly sorry to say. Okay, so that's not a bad thing though, because there are 2 other books that I've been wanting to read. So it'll be between Snowflower and the Secret Fan, which is an Asian literature book. This takes place in 19th century China, and we follow 2 women who write to each other on fans, and they're helping each other through their lives in China. And we're dealing with like marriages that are good and not good, and we're dealing with foot binding and all sorts of things, and I've only heard good things about this. This and My Cousin Rachel were both books that I've promised myself I will read by the end of 2018, and so why not now, right? So it'll be between this book and The Night Visitor by Lucy Atkins. And I mean, you can't get much more green than this. Like a Kelly green. This I feel like could almost be turquoise, but this is true green. And this is a true thriller about a woman who writes a memoir about this pioneering female surgeon in the Victorian era. And she has asked the help of this one older woman, I believe, Vivian Tester. Oh no, she's not older. She's just middle-aged. She's a middle-aged housekeeper. Now, Olivia has done something very, very wrong. And Vivian, the housekeeper, knows what that is. And I think it is linked somehow to this manuscript and this book that she's written. And I think it sounds wonderful. So it'll be between one of these when I'm choosing something green. Number 5, read a book while wearing the same hat the whole time. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I am not going to do this because I find it like a completely ridiculous challenge. I don't see the point of that challenge. It was so funny. I was watching Helen Jeppesen, I think that's how you pronounce her last name. I could be wrong. But she was going through her TBR for this, and she was getting mad about this challenge, and the whole time I was like, yeah, why do we have to do that challenge? I think it was just some like random thing they come up with, but instead of doing that, I've decided to read a book about a character who happens to wear some sort of hat or some sort of clothing item on their heads, and I believe the woman in black wears a veil throughout this book. And I've been wanting to reread this. I am hoping that there will be one day that is super rainy or a thunderstorm would be perfect because that's what I've been waiting for to read this book. So this is what I'm going to read for that challenge. Number 6, read a book with a beautiful spine. And for this, I have decided, oh, where did it go? Where is it? Oh. For this, I have decided to read Tin Man. I really want to read this during this whole session. This is a beautiful book. Look at the spine. This is the most beautiful book I own at this point, and the spine is equally as stunning, and so I'm gonna try to read that. Now I've got several other books that might come in if I'm able to complete all of those challenges and I can keep going, which I highly doubt. I highly doubt it. Here are the books that I'm thinking about reaching for. Well, I think it's safe to say that we can throw Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil back into the mix. This has been calling to me for some reason. It's true crime. It takes place in the 1980s in Savannah. May 2nd, 1981. That's 2 days before I was born. And there was this terrible murder that occurred. And I believe we slowly find out who did it. And this was turned into a movie, I think in the 90s. And it's just a very well-loved piece of true crime. And I would like to read that. And it's signed. I had no idea it was signed. That's awesome. Okay, another book that I would be happy to pick up over the course of the Booktubeathon is The Boy at the Keyhole. This just screams gothic, and it really does have some Daphne du Maurier vibes in here. This is about a little boy named Samuel who lives alone with his housekeeper Ruth in this enormous Cornish estate. Now his mother vanished overnight. She didn't say goodbye, and he is getting postcards from her, but he starts to believe that maybe she's actually dead and Ruth killed her, and Ruth is the one sending these postcards. Does that not sound absolutely petrifying? I'm so excited to read this, so that might happen. I've got another 2 that I have out from the library that I would like to get to. We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. You know, this is a classic horror book. I would classify this as horror, right? It's not a thriller? I think this is horror. This is about the Blackwood family. People in the town where they live believe that they're cursed, or they believe that they're dangerous, and they stay far, far away from this family. And it's about 2 sisters, I believe. So I would love to read that. And you know what? I would also really like to read The Color Purple. I can't believe I haven't read this yet. Like, shame on me for not having read The Color Purple yet. So that is another option as well. This is the story of 2 sisters. One is a missionary in Africa, and the other is a child wife living in the South. What do you mean, a child wife? I don't know what that means. I'm really disturbed by that. I haven't watched the movie either, so I am going into this completely blind if I decide to go for that. So okay, those are all of the challenges. Those are all of the books that I may or may not pick up during Booktubeathon. Let me know in the comments below, are you going to be joining in for a Booktubeathon? And if you are, what is the book you are most excited to read? Okay, I will see you guys later. Bye!